What up, 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 what up? What's good, people? What is up? What is they went from the fourth level of hell and sent us down to the seventh level of hell. Why? Because then you got Kwanzaa pulling out her titties. The whore pulled out her titties. And these whore bags over here started feeling and fondling on her tits. What?
I don't have it to do with you. Girl, you can go over there, rant and rave. Girl, you can shake all your rainbow bright hair all you want, dear one. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this with you, dear one. I'm not doing this with you, dear one. I don't have nothing to do with you, and I'm done. Baby, you can scream my name from the rooftops from now till Jesus come back. I'm done after this.
Introduced to Tick's meat. Do you see what I see? Did y'all really hello, casting, wardrobe, y'all let him roll up out of wardrobe with these fans on, giving us all of this, thinking we were not going to see it? We have been waiting with bated breath and anticipating all season long for the slightest glimpse, and y'all just put it out there this episode in all of its magnificent glory.
Listen, that young man said, baby, you ate on this first date, you giving up the cooch on the first date, okay? Well, you gonna run me my coins. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. That's our new theme song. That is the new song. Listen, somebody need to put a beat to that. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. That's what y'all got going on.
Called out Sandcastle. Sand, bitch. Ow. Oh my God, it was so funny, girl. Woo, baby, listen, let me tell you something. This shit started to turn into the precursor for some gay porn. That's what I thought it was. Because Big T is getting all, the voice starting to go deeper and get a little more wet and moist and sentimental and all this shit. And it was real gay at this point. Like, I thought the bitches was going to start. I thought Lil Bird was going to turn Big T around and do him like he did Uncle Cliff and do the grease it up with City Lou and ran right in there. It's not a coincidence that Big T started off the conversation by trying to find out if Lil Bird was fucking Mercedes, which he found out he's not. It's also not a coincidence that he started talking about prison. Why? Because the bitches was probably fucking in prison. Uncle Cliff, you better go get your man. Big T got plans for that. Well, he had on look like something Big Bird vomited up or something like that. Like, I did not like it. That Big Bird couture he was going for, it did not work. Like the pastor of a gay mega church on Easter Sunday. Okay, it was way too much sequins. He had on way too much makeup. Baby, his face looked like Iyanla Vanzant's neckline. Okay, just way too much makeup clumped in everywhere on his face. Get it together, sweetheart. Like, you're a big girl, so that gives you a whole lot of canvas. So that was a whole lot of makeup, honey. And Rico looked like he was auditioning to be one of the three kings, or he was auditioning to be the main character on Jesus Christ Superstar. Girl, Wayne, did you have on a blue thong or a blue G-string or something? If you did, I want to see. Can I see? Get me up in my DMs. I do want to see if you have a blue thong or a blue, jock strap or something like that. I'd love to see it too. Anyway, but I liked it with the turtleneck. Now, Troy.
Hello. What's going on? Hello. Welcome to Run Your Mouth. I am L Teddy 27, here to give you today's latest headlines and top stories and give you all the rundown of what happened today, May 15th, 2025. Like only we can. I'm so pleased to have you all here with me. Go ahead and hit the Tracy. I'm glad you're here, Tracy, because I sure need you to send me one of these good stories. Cases, if you can. Go ahead and hit the like button, y'all. Go ahead and share the video out. Do all of the things that we do, okay? Do all of the things. This popsicle is real good, y'all. Anyway, let me say hey to y'all, and then we can get this party started. We have a lot in the dossier today. One of these stories in the dossier today, even I had to take a step back and say, girl. We'll get there. Let me say hey to y'all. Hey, DPG, how are you today, my love? Good to see you. Janae is in the building. I'm just glad, Janae, you could take some time away from wrestling to come over here and see us. Because I suspect that, y'all done went over to Cali. You over on the West Coast now. You got the Chris in the West Coast and the new digs and stuff. But we glad to have you. Hey Tracy C, we'll get there, and I'll tell you which story I need you to which case I need you to get me the deets on. Hey, lovely 31 Blueprint. What's going on? Hey, Savon. It's thankful Thursday. We one day closer to the weekend. We are. That we are. Hey, Lot Queen. What's going on? Tracy W, how are you? Happy Thursday to you as well. Hey, Brittany Janae. You doing all right today? You all right? Hey, J Diva. You all right over there? You looking good over there? No, I need the Tootsie Roll one, Tracy. Hey, Precious Jewel. What's going on? Candace F. I did get your story integrated into the dossier, so we will cover your story. Demetria. Now, where you been? Now, I ain't seen you in a couple days. You can't be missing class like this, Demetria, and having us missing you like this. Now, where the hell you been? Girl. Got us over here. I was wondering the other day. I say, no, where's Demetria? Where's my girl? Playing hooky, skipping class. Uh-huh. Wait. Not the wrestling ring is closed for monthly maintenance. I'm not doing this with you. Hey, the inform, what's good, bro? Montrez, what's good, bro? How you doing today? Hey, Yana, what's going on? Girl, you say you sipping on Henny and lemonade, so you won't spike out as much? I got some lemonade up in there. I need to get some of that with some. I think I got some blackberry lemonade. Hit some of that with some of my good gin, and I might be all right. Hey, crazy homebody girl. I'm trying to get through this popsicle, so we can go ahead and get this popsicle is helping me regulate my sugar levels and stuff like that, because it's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. Oh, child. Girl. Anyway, there go Terrence. Child, Terrence say, don't worry. WrestleMania is next week. I ain't mad about it. Child, I need to have my own WrestleMania over here. Let me see who I can call tonight. Set up this good wrestling ring. You been busy? I don't want to hear it. You been skipping my class, Demetria. I've been busy. Girl, you think you grown, huh? Girl, over there thinking you grown. Girl. Hey, magical mermaid. I don't know. I got the story, and I got I have a screenshot of part of the docket. I mean the documents, but I don't know. You got some high shoes. You can't bribe me. You cannot bribe me with no high shoes. Now you might could bribe me with some crabs or a good piece of meat. If you know what kind of meat I'm talking about. I have to look. I'm gonna put it up. Though Tracy, I'll let you know. All right, y'all. Let's get this party started. Larry, we ready, Larry. Ladies and gentlemen, non-binary, gender-conforming members of our audience, I bring to you the late, great Larry Myers to help us usher in our Sugar Spike segment.
Oh, God. You see, this is the part that I like.
Major sugar spike.
So long now, I want to fight. Daddy gave his only begotten son.
Major sugar spike.
And shall ever believe
Major sugar spike.
they shall not perish, but have everlasting life.
Taste the biscuit.
Jesus. Thank you, Larry. So, yeah. There seems to be trouble in paradise. However, let me preface by saying every time these Republicans come out and say, oh, I'm a no on this. Oh, I can't vote for that. Oh, no, this goes against my principles. This goes against everything I stand for. When the rubber hits the pavement, they go straight Bohica. Hashtag Bohica. Bend over, here it comes again. Hey, Uncle Jay, they all bend the knee. Whenever they come out and say, oh, no, this is a no for me. I'm a hard no. No. They always backpedal and pussy pop off of it. So, House Speaker Mike Johnson has signaled today that changes will have to be made to their mega bill, that tax bill, in order to win support from conservatives and moderate Republicans balking at some of its provisions. Those alterations, he warned, will not only include a larger tax break for blue states that several Republican moderates are demanding, but also steeper spending cuts elsewhere in the bill, as fiscal hawks raise alarm that the legislation does not do enough to rein in the ballooning deficit. Quote, if you do more on salt, you have to find more in savings. So these are the dials, the metaphorical dials I'm talking about. When you're trying to craft a piece of legislation that is this comprehensive and this complex, it requires a lot of thought and deliberation. End of quote. And that's what Speaker Johnson said when speaking to the press. Now, if you want to know what salt is, we talked about that on Tuesday on Red, Blue, and Black. SALT is state and local tax. And this refers to specifically the tax deductions that people that live in states that have state and local taxes, either raising the cap on those tax deductions or eliminating them altogether. So yeah. Now, this press conference and warning came after a 2 plus hour meeting that they had in Speaker Johnson's office. During this meeting, Speaker Johnson met with several moderate Republicans pushing for a higher SALT deduction cap, and also hardline conservatives calling for more muscular Medicaid changes, requests that are red lines for opposite camps. Republicans from high tax blue states, including New York, New Jersey, and California, are calling for an increase to the proposed SALT deduction cap of $30,000 for individuals making $400,000 or more, arguing that it does not provide substantive relief to constituents. The issue has been one of the biggest hangups hampering the bill. Representative Andrew Garbarino, Republican of New York, a key member of the SALT caucus, said after the meeting that the group provided scorekeepers with new requests for number analyses as they search for a deduction cap palatable for the entire conference. Um, Representative Nick Lalotta, Republican of New York, another SALT caucus member, said, quote, in one sense, there was good progress in that members were talking, understanding each other's priorities a little better. That gives me some optimism. Yet, there's been no bona fide change or an offer different from what's in the very faulty Ways and Means bill, end of quote. Now, any increase to the deduction cap proposal, however, will spark howls from hardline conservatives who are apprehensive of spiking the cap and say that if it goes higher, it must be paid for with additional spending cut slashes that could perturb moderates. Quote, I think $30,000 is more than generous. And that's end of quote. And that comes from Representative Byron Donalds, fucktard extraordinaire from the great state of Florida. He went on to say, quote, I'm open to making sure we get the president's agenda through. And at its core, everybody in that room, we want to get the president's agenda through. We're committed to that. It's about really how we put the math together. So if SALT goes up, then there's going to have to be some adjustments elsewhere. Representative Chip Roy, Republican of the great state of Texas, one of the most outspoken hardliners, said that the success of the bill, quote, depends a lot on where the SALT guys want to be and what kind of a trade or deal can get done, end of quote. One of the top asks from fiscal hawks is moving up the start date for Medicaid work requirements for able-bodied single adults, which are not set to kick in until 2029, a delay that is drawing the ire of those who want to expedite the savings that will come from the policy. Quote, I'd like to see the work requirement be in effect immediately, end of quote. And that came from Representative Eric Burleson, Republican of the great state of Missouri. He also said he's against the bill in its current form. Representative Andy Harris of the Freedom Caucus, he said, quote, it's way more than work requirements, end of quote. And that's when he was speaking more broadly about the work requirements, not only for Medicaid, but also he spoke about certain individuals' stances on the provider tax that allows states to extract more federal Medicaid matching dollars rather than just freezing it, lowering the federal medical assistance percentage for the Medicaid expansion established under Obamacare, and bumping up the timeline to roll back green energy tax credits. Basically, it's a whole lot of minutia that they got to find their way through. As it currently stands, this won't see the light of day. Now, when me and Cams went over this past Tuesday on Red, Blue, and Black, I told y'all this. Hey Shay, hey Tawana D, hey everybody coming in, hey Xavier, hey lovely True Red, hey everybody coming in. I told y'all on Wednesday I didn't think this bill had a chance of making it through. But here we are. There's a lot of work that they need to be done. There are two opposing factions of this. Now, I find it real funny that they want to increase the SALT deduction, right? This does nothing but help rich people, because in order to receive the deduction, you have to be making at least $400,000 a year or more. And I don't make $400,000. Any of y'all make $400,000 a year? I'm just asking. Anybody, any of y'all making $400,000 a year? Because I'm just not making. That's not the kind of money that I got over here. I'm just saying. But so you want to help those people out, but you say we'll help the rich people out, but while we're helping the rich people out, we'll screw poor people and vulnerable people as well, because we're going to cut and slash Medicaid even more. I'm just saying. Magical Mermaid, you are right. You are very right. Some of these rich people, that $30,000 and they make more than that in just their stock dividends, but that's a whole situation. Y'all over there crying about this is the priority of the Republican Party, making sure that rich people get all of the deductions that they can. Get everything that the government has for them. But poor people, and this is not even all poor people, some of our elderly people and people that are very vulnerable, some people that have chronic conditions, they also tend to be on Medicaid because that's to help offset the high price of health insurance and health coverage in this country. Hey, Symmetry. So this is their priorities. They want to help out the rich and screw the rest of us. Look at tacos and tequila. Ciao. Anyway, I just wanted y'all to see what the priorities were. Now, back to the ongoing infighting within the Democratic Party. Now, I told y'all the other day whose side I'm on. I'm on my boy Malcolm Kenyatta's side. Don't ask me whose side I'm on. I'm on Malcolm Kenyatta's side. I'm rooting for everybody black, okay? Democratic National Committee Vice Chair Malcolm Kenyatta slammed his fellow Vice Chair David Hogg yesterday, disputing the reason the gun control activist has said is why they may need to run for their positions again. Kenyatta argued in an interview on MSNBC that he has tried to ignore what Hogg has been saying recently to avoid party infighting and division. But Hogg's statement after the DNC's Credential Committee voted in favor of holding a new vice chair election, quote, pushed me over the edge, end of quote. He said as he was being interviewed by Simone Sanders Townsend, he said, quote, David has a very casual relationship with the truth, and he has not been truthful on so many points that have been raised on this show, end of quote. He said it with his whole ass chest. The Pennsylvania legislator added that he's, quote, frustrated, end of quote, with the decision to hold the election again, given that he received considerable more votes than necessary to clinch one of the vice chair positions. But he respects it. Quote, but David's first statement out of the gate was, quote, here's the Democratic Party doing some maniacal thing to push me out because of what he's doing with his PAC. David knows that that is not true, end of quote. I don't know, Malcolm. Now I'm on your side, Malcolm, but I can't say that David is not David is totally wrong in his thinking that this is just them trying to find a procedural way to push him out. I can kind of agree with that, but I'm gonna let you have it. I'm still on your side, Malcolm. But I see what David is saying there. I'm not gonna even lie to you, Malcolm. But Malcolm's whole thing is, baby, this ain't my problem. I had enough to secure mine when they did it the first time. They're the ones who fucked up. I had enough votes. It was no problem for me. But they're the ones who fucked up the procedure, not me. I ain't got nothing to do with it. Malcolm went on to say, quote, and so for all the people who have, like I had, really high hopes for what David could bring for this party and who are now looking at the message that he's been pushing out and the emails that they have been getting from him about how he wants to reform the party, you have to be honest with people, end of quote. Y'all just could go, Malcolm, you should just tell David, hey, bro, see me outside. Let's go ahead outside. Listen, hey, Lamone, what's going on? Malcolm said, bruh, come see me outside. Let's get it. What you want? Come get some. got my money on Malcolm quietly. Quiet as a scab. Now, we talked about this the other day, how the Credentials Committee voted to nullify the results of the February election that made David Hogg and Malcolm Kenyatta vice chairs. And that decision came as a result of a complaint that a losing candidate for a vice chair position had filed months earlier, challenging the procedure in which the election was held. Now, to her defense, that was Caitlin Free. She did file the complaint before David Hogg announced that he was not leaving his pack and that he was going after any Democrat in the primaries that wasn't doing a damn job. She did file her complaint before that. It's just convenient and coincidentally, it's just they're just making these decide to vote on this now. Listen. I don't know what to tell you. Let me continue on. Here's the rest of what Malcolm Kenyatta said. He said, quote, I know that this party has to change. It has to change in massive ways. And I did not run because I thought everything was going great. I ran because I thought that we needed to be a Democratic Party that, as I have said now, is focused on working people, working families, and how we're going to make their lives better. That's what we should be doing. That's what I have tried to do. End of quote. That's what Malcolm said. Listen, y'all could go outside and handle this out in the streets, okay? I'm just saying. That Xavier, that's what he said. He a lying asshole. That bitch ain't shit. Hey, Miss Baysay. Malcolm said, catch me outside. That's what he said, crazy whole body girl. Listen, I hate that. Listen, I hate that all this is coming out. I wish that now what what David should have came out and said was, hey, Catherine Powell, David should have came out and said, listen, I know what people gonna try and say. I ain't saying none of that. Have your re-election. Revote. I'm gonna be right here regardless. I stand 10 toes down on my shit. You know how the young people say, I stand 10 toes down on my shit. Go ahead and run it back, and I'll win again. What? I'm here. What? That's basically what Malcolm said. Malcolm said, listen, I had enough votes to win the first time. My shit was secure. Y'all fucked this shit up. Go ahead and run it back. I'll win again. Problem? I don't know what to tell y'all. I like both of them actually. I don't have a problem with David Hogg, but David Hogg, you're not going. If it's you versus Malcolm, I'm just telling you, David, you're not going to win. I'm just telling you. Here we are. Well, you know Xavier's gonna go with David. That's his generation. They both Gen Zers. That's his generation. They understand each other like the rest of us don't. I mean, I'm just saying. Anyway, moving on. Ross Baraka, mayor of Newark, he was he had to go to federal court this morning. He appeared in federal court this morning. And he said that his trespassing charge that they have against him was quote petty and silly, end of quote. Now the charge, which came after he tried to tour a federal immigration detention facility in his city, but was arrested by federal agents during a skirmish that involved 3 members of Congress. That charge continues to be higher profile than the typical single misdemeanor case would be. This is a misdemeanor trial, by the way. Now it appears headed for trial in mid-July, a month after the gubernatorial primary. Y'all think this ain't strategic? Ross Baraka is one of the front runners for the Democratic nomination in the gubernatorial election in New Jersey right now. And y'all conveniently are going to have this lingering over this black man's head until all during the primary season. Now, New Jersey has their primaries, I believe, in a couple weeks. I think it's like June 4th or something like that. I think it's coming up real fast. I think it's the first week of June. Let me see. If I'm not mistaken, somebody from New Jersey let me know. I think it's like June 3rd. Let me see. Hold on. New Jersey primaries. It's June 10th. Okay. June 10th is their primary. So y'all conveniently want this fucking misdemeanor. Mind you, the man should have never been arrested. Let's be clear. So y'all want this misdemeanor hanging over this man's head so that all of his opponents and the ops can use this for fodder now that we're entrenched in a goddamn primary season. I'm just saying. Y'all don't see the setup here, right? I can't escape the notion that in a lot of these situations, I told y'all how establishment Dems work. They will work with Republicans before they work with members of their own parties, notably the progressive wing. They will put money in the coffers of Republicans. They will do things that defy their own best interests just to keep someone who is progressive out of a seat. I'm just telling you how this goes. Call me a conspiracy theorist, but I cannot shake the notion that the Democratic Party has not caused this and isn't in agreement with this. This is a fucking misdemeanor. First of all, the man should have never been arrested to begin with, but this is a fucking misdemeanor that you're willfully dragging out so that the trial isn't until after fucking the primaries. Y'all are a real piece of work. In more sugar spiky news, to further let you people know that they're running a plantation over there down to the NFL and not a sports a sports league. We have this. Since 2022, the NFL has held its spring league meetings in conjunction with the Coaching Acceleration Program. It's a concept designed to provide the best minority coaching talent in the assistant ranks with face time and development opportunities alongside NFL team decision makers. But the Accelerator program will not be taking place next week at the meetings in Minneapolis. A league executive tells CBS Sports. In an effort to revamp the Accelerator program, both for head coach and general manager candidates, NFL Executive Vice President and Chief Administrative Officer Dasha Smith says the league will take the next year to reimagine the league's top diversity program. Quote, one of the things that we're really trying to focus on here at the league is how do we attract, retain, and develop the best talent in the world? And as we think about ourselves as aspiring to be a premier global sports organization, it's becoming more important than ever just to make sure that we have the absolute best talent in the NFL. And so we're doubling down on really making sure that we can continue to meet that goal. End of quote. What that means is that whole pro accelerator program that was aimed to help minorities and other marginalized group have a better fit, more fair share at becoming coaches and general managers. Yeah, we're scrapping that. Yeah, we have to reimagine and reorganize all of that. Yeah, we don't want no parts of that. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, you had a white defensive coordinator whose son illegally stole information off of his laptop, gave out the man's and then fraudulently called the man with the Shadur Sanders situation. He still got a job making almost $2 million after he probably violated HIPAA and all types of other privacy laws. He still got a job, but y'all want to scrap the program, the accelerator program that helps promote the hiring of Black and other minority people. I'm just making sure that we understand what's going on here. Let me continue. To hear that a diversity program would take a break in the current political climate initially made me shudder. President Donald Trump has said his administration, quote, will terminate every diversity, equity, and inclusion program across the entire federal government, end of quote. And that has been seen across the country at public and private levels. In March, Major League Baseball removed all references to diversity from its career page and is reconsidering its own program. But the NFL has stated publicly multiple times since Trump's inauguration that it will continue its diversity efforts. And I've been assured that even though the coaching accelerator won't happen next year, nor will the front office accelerator take place during December's meeting, the NFL is still committed to this specific program and to the overall goal, really. But you're scrapping it, right? Over the next several months, the league executives will work to put together an accelerator program for next May's meeting that will likely combine head coach and GM candidates. We'll see. We'll be following. We see that the Rooney Rule hasn't been working, and that's evident by Brian Flores's lawsuit that he had against the NFL. Remember the Brian Flores situation where he was texted by Bill Belichick and told that he had the job, only to be told that it was the wrong Brian. It was Brian Dable and not Brian Flores. And Brian Flores said he hadn't even had his interview yet. He was on his way to his interview, and they made a mistake and texted the wrong person and told the white guy he already had the job. Y'all ain't shit. Y'all ain't shit. I told you this is the whole fucking plantation that they're running over there down to the NFL. They ain't shit. Well, well, here we are. Let me read this. The woman you see on your screen, her name is Christine Farrow. Now, she's running into issues and into money issues. Well, here's why. The Trump administration is now resuming collections on default student loans. A surprising population has been caught in the crosshairs. Hundreds of thousands of older Americans whose decades old debts now put them at risk of having their Social Security checks garnished. Now, Miss Farrow is a retired welfare worker. She lives in California. And she said, quote, I worked ridiculous hours. I worked weekends and nights, but I could never pay it off. End of quote. Like millions of debtors with federal student loans, Farrow had her payments and interest paused by the government 5 years ago when the pandemic thrust many into financial hardship. That grace period ended in 2023, and earlier this month, the Department of Education said it would restart, quote, involuntary collections, end of quote, by garnishing paychecks, tax refunds, and Social Security, retirement, and disability benefits. Farrow previously had her Social Security garnished and expects it to restart. Her loans date back 40 years. She was a single mother when she got a bachelor's degree in developmental psychology. And when she discovered she couldn't earn enough to pay her off her loans, she went back to school and got a master's degree. Her salary never caught up. Things only got worse. Around 2008, when she consolidated her loans, she was paying $1,000 a month, but years of missed payments and piled on interest meant she was barely putting a dent in a bill that had ballooned to $250,000. When she sought help to resolve her debt, she says the loan company had just one suggestion. They said, quote, move to a cheaper state, end of quote. So listen, and the article chronicles several people that are elderly, retired, late 60s, 70s, and 80s that are very afraid that the little pennies that they get from Social Security will be getting garnished because of student loans. Here we are. Here the fuck we are. Look now. Look at here. Now look at him. I love you too. Anyway, in more sugar spiky news, well, then there's this. Here's the headline. White white Afrikaner from South Africa brought to the US by Trump administration has history of anti-Semitic posts. Charles Kleinhaus confirms he owns account that contained posts as White House uses anti-Semitism as rationale for deportations. One of the white Afrikaners brought to the U.S. as refugees by the Trump administration this week has a history of anti-Semitic social media posts, despite the White House using alleged anti-Semitism as a rationale for deporting pro-Palestine protesters. Charles Kleinhaus posted on X in 2023 that, quote, Jews are untrustworthy and a dangerous group, end of quote. In another post last fall, he shared a right-wing nationalist YouTube video that was later removed titled, quote, Will shoot illegal immigrants, Poland's illegal Islamic immigrant solution, end of quote, with clapping emojis. A number of Kleinhaus's posts also promote the conspiracy theory that white people in South Africa are being particularly persecuted. Kleinhaus confirmed to several media outlets, including Bulwark and the New York Times, that he was the owner of the account that contained the anti-Semitic and racist posts, though he insisted to the Times that he was not anti-Semitic and claimed to have written a post in error while on medication. The Trump administration has engaged in a systematic campaign to arrest and attempt to deport pro-Palestinian activists in recent months, claiming that they are engaging in anti-Semitism. The Department of Homeland Security said last month it will begin screening immigrants' social media activity for anti-Semitism, using it, quote, as grounds for denying immigration benefit requests, end of quote. Mr. Kleinhaus, however, was recently granted refugee status by the U.S. government along with 58 other white South Africans and landed this week at Washington Dulles International Airport. Quote, we just packed our bags and left for safety reasons, end of quote, Mr. Kleinhaus said. And that's according to his who according to his LinkedIn profile owns a mining company in South Africa. Here we are. Now, a senior DHS official said in a statement, quote, the Department of Homeland Security vets all refugee applicants. Any claims of misconduct are thoroughly investigated and appropriate action will be taken as necessary. DHS does not comment on individual application status, end of quote. Let's be clear. If Jewish people are disillusioned to think that that Donald John and his administration gives a damn about them or gives a damn about anti-Semitism. They are they they just have to be just stupid. He doesn't give a damn about the Jewish people or anti-Semitism. He does not care because many members of his administration are also anti-Semites who are blatant in their anti-Semitism. Blatant. But here we are. hmm It had nothing to do with those the people that are being put out. It had nothing to do with them being anti-Semitic or the fact that they were pro-Palestine. Everything to do with their skin color. Everything to do with that they weren't deemed white. Here we are. Well, and then there's this. Let me let y'all see this real up close, okay? I just want to blow that up so y'all can see what we're talking about when I read this next story. The mother of a Missouri high school student filed a lawsuit against the Mountain View Birch Tree um, R3 school district, claiming the school violated her son's First Amendment rights after suspending him over a Snapchat post made off campus. Wyatt Grunden, 14, was suspended for 3 days after posting an image on Snapchat that showed Dr. Pepper cans glued together to resemble an AK-47. The post was featured. The post featured a song titled AK-47 added through the app's music feature. According to the lawsuit, the district searched Wyatt upon his return to school, despite admitting it found no credible evidence of a threat. Quote, they told me it was cyberbullying and threatening the school. That would be on that would be on his record. And the quote, that's what the mother said. Now, the lawsuit filed by the Arizona-based Goldwater Institute's American Freedom Network argues that Wyatt's off-campus speech is protected under the U.S. Constitution. It claims the district overstepped its authority by disciplining a student for private, non-school related social media activity. Quote, if he had sent out a threat or any kind of message with that photo, that would be different. But he didn't. We don't just let him do whatever he wants, end of quote. And that's what the mother said. In a statement sent to news outlets, the district acknowledged the lawsuit but declined to comment in detail. Quote, the school district is aware of the lawsuit that was recently filed. Unfortunately, because the lawsuit involves a student, we are significantly limited in what we are legally permitted to share publicly. For now, we can only say that we have legal counsel who will present our side of the story and defend against these allegations, end of quote. And that's what the school district put out in a statement. Greg Majarian, a constitutional law professor at Washington University in St. Louis, said the case is similar to Mahoney Area School District versus BL, a 2021 U.S. Supreme Court decision that ruled in favor of a student punished for posting profane messages about her school on social media while off campus. Quote, the court did not establish a hard line saying schools can never regulate off-campus speech, but they made clear the limits of that authority, end of quote. And that's what Greg Majarian said. He said Wyatt's post did not involve the school, nor was it made during school hours or on school grounds. This is unlike Tinker versus Des Moines, where students wore black armbands to protest the Vietnam War. This incident happened on school property, but the nation's highest court still ruled in favor of the students. I want to know what y'all think about this situation. What are your thoughts? Did the district go too far? I'm just asking. Is the district doing too much? Now you see the picture of what was posted. The post is right. That's the post. Did the district go too far? Should he have been suspended or disciplined at all? He did not reference the school. It wasn't done on school grounds. It did not involve the school. Is the school doing too much? My question is, how did the school find out? Somebody had to tell the school. Somebody had to call the school and say, y'all see this? I don't know, y'all. I don't think the school is gonna win this. I think they're gonna lose this. Because if it was not done on school grounds, if he never mentioned the school, um, if he never mentioned the school, if it was not done on school grounds, if it was done on his own time, and there was no indication that he was referencing the school at all, I think they overstepped. I think maybe they could have brought him in and spoke to him and said, hey, listen, you can't be posting that kind of stuff. People can take that the wrong way. We just would advise you not to do that anymore. Have a good talking to him and keep it moving. But you suspended him for 3 days. I don't know, y'all. I don't think the school gonna win this one. I don't think they're gonna win this one at all. Moving on. We have Candace F. Shout out to Candace F for this story right here. Amid a government-wide effort to bring federal employees back to the office, a small but powerful biometrics office based in the Department of Homeland Security is now so packed that employees were briefly asked to bring their own chairs to work. An email viewed by news outlets showed that employees of the Office of Biometric Identity Management were at one point guided to bring their own chairs to work, but that advice was quickly rescinded. Quote, despite guidance you may have received earlier today, we have been informed that staff should not bring their own chairs to the office. End of quote. And that's according to an email which also thanked employees for their patience as they worked through logistical changes. OBIM, which is the Office of Biometrical Identity Management, which was established more than a decade ago to manage biometric information used to make border security decisions, is based at the Transportation Security Administration's offices. Another email, also viewed by news outlets, highlights the severe space constraints at OBIM. Employees were sent lists of conference rooms that could be used for seating options for work. Quote, with these space limitations, we encourage staff to please be accommodating and share offices and workspaces to the extent it is possible. Please connect directly with your supervisor and division leadership to discuss creative seating solutions. Please remember that we are all in this together and are working to find viable solutions. Thank you again for your patience as we work through these logistical changes. End of quote. Because there isn't enough office or cubicle space, it's possible that staffers are unintentionally exposed that staffers could unintentionally expose information to those that do not need to know it, given their proximity to other people. And that's according to a former employee. A person with DHS also confirmed that privacy was an issue and that because conference rooms were being used for work, they were not being used for conferencing. They said OBIM employees were sitting on couches to work and holding their laptops on their laps because there isn't enough desk space. One source familiar with the situation said the staff at OBIM had to be in the office between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. with no exceptions. Because of the space constraints, people are sitting in break rooms, conference rooms, and hallways, the person said. Much of the primary leadership is leaving the DHS component. A former DHS official noted that there have been space issues at DHS's management directorate, which includes OBIM. The 2 floors of TSA offices set aside for OBIM staffers were not meant to house every employee 5 days a week. They added, in their view, there was less reason to be concerned about privacy. DHS did not respond to multiple requests for comment. Listen, this is what you have happen um when you have idiots running this country. Like nobody thought this out. Now, if you're working at the Office of Biometrical Identity Management, it stands to reason that you are dealing with sensitive information about people, like very highly sensitive information about people. And the fact that it's just nilly-willy out there, people out there sitting on couches and shit, talking about hold this laptop in your lap. You know, when you have a laptop on too long, that shit get hot. It could burn your thighs. I'm telling you what I know. Baby, I'm not sharing no cubicle or no office with nobody. No, we're not doing this. When I was in an office, I had my own office, and no, I was not sharing it. No, no, won't be. Sorry. If I have a cubicle, no, I'm not sharing my cubicle. Can I sit over here by you? No, absolutely not. Matter of fact, let me finish farting a few times, and after I'm done letting a couple of them out, maybe I'll let you come over here. Let me get through getting rid of this gas. I'm just saying, this is a shit show, a whole ass shit show. But you have idiots and morons running the country. This is why when y'all got these people talking about everybody come back into the office, because I know people who work for the federal government and they were like, wait a minute, y'all telling me to come back into the office. There's no office for me to come back into. I live in so and so state. My supervisor lives in a whole nother state in a whole nother time zone. Just a mess. Just a damn mess. Now, hold your horses, ladies and gentlemen. Hold your horses. Now, let me read this story to you. As bad as, even if you were on the side saying that last story with the AK-47 was bad, oh, this is worse. Oh, this is much, much worse. This is the complete other side of the spectrum. Let me read this to you. A Texas mother has been arrested and charged for allegedly buying ammunition and tactical gear for her son's planned mass targeted violence at his middle school, officials said. I don't know what y'all want from me. I just read the stories. Let me read that again, because maybe somebody did not hear that. Maybe somebody didn't quite get what I just said. Let me read that again for you. A Texas mother has been arrested and charged for allegedly buying ammunition and tactical gear for her son's planned mass targeted violence at his middle school. And that's according to officials. Ashley Pardo, who you see pictured there, age 33, was arrested on Monday and charged with aiding in commission of terrorism after she allegedly provided ammunition and tactical gear to her 13-year-old son, whose behavior demonstrated plans for a quote mass targeted violence in the quote aimed at Rhodes Middle School in San Antonio, Texas. And that's according to an affidavit. Back in January, her son was first contacted in reference to quote drawings of the local school he currently attended, end of quote. And that's according to the affidavit. These drawings included a map of the school labeled, quote, suicide route, end of quote, and the name of the school written beside a rifle. The son, who was not named in the affidavit, was contacted by officials at the time and described a, quote, fascination with past mass shooters, end of quote. In April, the son was found researching the 2019 Christchurch mosque shooting in New Zealand. A tragedy that killed 51 people on a school-issued computer. He was, quote, subsequently suspended and later in the day attempted suicide with a straight razor, causing significant injuries and requiring over 100 stitches, end of quote. The boy attended an alternative school until May 7th, according to officials. His grandmother, with whom he had been staying on various occasions, contacted police on Monday after she found her grandson, quote, hitting a live bullet with a hammer, end of quote. The middle schooler told his grandmother he received the bullet from his mother and that she had, quote, guns and ammunition at her house, end of quote. The grandmother told officials that his mother had been taking the boy to a local surplus store and bought him magazines, a tactical black vest capable of concealing ballistic plates, a tactical black helmet, and various army clothing. On Monday, the boy told his grandmother he was, quote, going to be famous, end of quote, before being picked up by his mom and taken to school. The grandmother then looked through the boy's bedroom, where she found magazines loaded with live rifle ammunition and pistol magazines loaded with live ammunition. The grandmother also found an improvised explosive device, which was a mortar style firework wrapped in duct tape, among the boy's belongings. The explosive device had the words, quote, for Brenton Tarrant, end of quote, referencing the shooter in the 2019 mosque attack, along with multiple SS symbols multiple SS symbols and the words 14 words referencing white supremacy written on the explosive device. Along with the weaponry, the grandmother found a handwritten note referring to previous mass shooting suspects, and the number of victims in each incident. The mother had been aware of the threats made by her son, expressed to the school her support for his, quote, violent expressions and drawings, end of quote, and said she did not feel concerned for his behavior. The affidavit noted that the mother was purchasing the gear and ammunition for her son in exchange for babysitting his younger siblings. The school told officials on Monday the boy arrived wearing a camouflage jacket, mask, and tactical pants and left shortly after. In a letter sent to parents on Monday, Rhodes Middle School principal Phyllis Mina Martinez said that the young man was, quote, detained off campus and is being charged with terrorism, end of quote. The letter goes on to say, quote, please know we take all potential threats seriously and act immediately to protect everyone in our care. We will always remain vigilant to ensure our learning and working environment is safe and secure, end of quote. Now, the mother was released, really? The mother was released on a bond of $75,000 on Tuesday, according to jail records. She will return to court for a pre-indictment hearing on July 17th, according to court records. Police said during a press conference today that the boy remains in police custody at the Bexar County Juvenile Detention Facility pending a judge's decision. I just read the stories. Thank God for the grandmother. Thank God for the grandmother. Stand on top of this, being vigilant. I'm just saying. Just a mess. Just a damn mess. How is she out of jail? That's beyond my level of comprehension. That's what I'm saying, Lovely True Red. I don't even know how she's out of jail. But who the fuck am I? We got to move on before I spike the fuck out. In our last sugar spiky story, Governor death sentence Ron DeSantis signed a measure today prohibiting local governments from adding fluoride to their water systems, making it the second state in the country after Utah to implement a statewide ban on the mineral. DeSantis signed the bill at a public event in Dade City, Florida, over the concerns of dentists and public health advocates. Quote, we have other ways where people can get access to fluoride, end of quote, DeSantis said at a public event earlier this month. He went on to say, quote, when you do this in the water supply, you're taking away the choice of someone who may not want to have overexposure to fluoride, end of quote. State lawmakers approved the bill last month requiring the mineral and some other additives be removed from water sources across the state. Utah was the first state to ban fluoride in late March, and its prohibition went into effect last week, while Florida's provision is effective July 1st. Remind self when you go home, only bottled water. Some local governments in Florida have already voted to remove fluoride from their water ahead of the statewide ban. Earlier this month, Miami-Dade County commissioners voted to override a veto by Mayor Daniela Levine Cava and move forward with plans to remove fluoride from the county's drinking water. Quote, water fluoridation is a safe, effective, and efficient way to maintain dental health in our country, and halting it could have long-lasting health consequences, especially for our most vulnerable families, end of quote. And that's what Mayor Levine Cava said in a statement defending her veto. Some Republican-led states have sought to impose bans following a push by U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to stop fluoridating water. Earlier this month, Governor Death Sentence pledged to sign the bill and was flanked by the state's Surgeon General, Joseph Lapido. Y'all know we talked about him last year and in 2023 with his fuck shit, who has attracted national scrutiny over his opposition to policies embraced by public health experts, including COVID-19 vaccine mandates. Fluoride is a mineral that has been added to drinking water for generations to strengthen teeth and reduce cavities by replacing minerals lost during normal wear and tear. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the addition of low levels of fluoride to drinking water has long been considered one of the greatest public health achievements of the last century. Excess fluoride intake has been associated with streaking or spots on teeth, and studies have also traced a link between excess fluoride and brain development. Here we are. Here we are. It's time for our daily update. Now, I'm going to ask you all. Yesterday, I put the article up that I read from for this so that you all can read along with me. Do you all want me to do that again, or yes or no? Just a yes or no is all I need. Let me know. I'm taking a straw poll. Do you need me to put that up again? Yes or no? Of course, it's a lot today because today was cross-examination. Mm. See what y'all saying. I got Jesus, y'all not help. I got no, yes, no. Everybody ain't vote. I need y'all to vote. I need to make a decision. Tracy says the no wins. I only had like 5 people vote. We got almost 80 people in the chat. Only 5 people voted. Lord. All right. The no's have it. I'm bracing myself because I know I have a lot of reading to do. So let me take another swig of my grape soda to lubricate my palate. The no's have won, Xavier. I'm sorry. All right. Judge Arun Subramanian began Thursday by talking to lawyers about evidence as final ground rules are set for the cross-examination by defense attorney Anna Estevayo. He denied a request by defense lawyers to introduce text communications between Combs and Cassie that would include references to specific sexual acts. Letters were filed with the judge overnight from both sides. The judge said he wanted to eliminate, quote, unfair prejudice or victimization, end of quote, of witnesses. Prosecutors also complained that overnight Wednesday, defense lawyers dumped 400, quote, enormous, duplicitous, end of quote, documents as potential exhibits on prosecutors. A defense lawyer responded that many of the documents will never be offered as exhibits during the cross-examination. During the nearly 1 hour discussion about the evidence that can be introduced, the judge noted that with one of his rulings, quote, 99.9% of evidence is not being impaired, end of quote. All right. All right. Miss Estevayo, who's the defense attorney, began Cassie's cross-examination by asking about their relationship. Cassie responded to a series of questions. Quote, you and Sean Combs were in a relationship for 11 years. You loved him and believed that he loved you as well. End of quote. She responded, yes. The Miss Estevayo said, your love of Combs explained, quote, why it hurt so badly when he lied, end of quote. Cassie said, yes. Miss Estevayo said, quote, when he cheated on you, to which Cassie said, yes. Miss Estevayo began with a gentle tone of voice when she began cross-examining Cassie. It's notable because so many cross examinations can begin with efforts to unsettle and agitate a witness. Estevallo's approach was the complete opposite. The first exhibits introduced by Miss Estevallo are messages exchanged between Combs and Cassie in the early years of their relationship. In one, Combs writes, quote, "I'm truly a lucky man," end of quote. Cassie writes back, "I'm a very lucky woman. Love you so much," end of quote. Prosecutors are objecting frequently to exhibits introduced by Ms. Estevallo. The judge is rejecting many of the objections, appearing to be giving the defense some breathing room in the early stages of its examination. Ms. Estevallo begins confronting Cassie with loving emails and text messages she and Diddy exchanged early on. In one 2008 email, Cassie told Diddy she was a lucky woman. Quote, "I love you so much." In the quote, she wrote after Diddy thanked her for flying to Atlanta to be with him. In August 2009, in a message sent when Diddy went by the moniker Puffy, he told her, quote, "I love you so much. It makes me cry," end of quote. Cassie replied, quote, "You hungry, Pop Pop?" End of quote. She testified that Pop Pop was a nickname she used for Combs, while she sometimes called her baby, called her, while he sometimes called her baby girl. He said no, to which Cassie told him to let her know if he changed his mind. In April 2010, Cassie told Combs, quote, "Going to sleep now so it can be tomorrow faster and you can be home. Love you," end of quote. He replied, quote, "Love my baby," end of quote. This is nauseating. um In a flashback to another area, testimony about the early relationship between Combs and Cassie has contained frequent references to the BlackBerry devices that they used to communicate with one another. Before Apple founder Steve Jobs produced the iPhone in 2007, the BlackBerry was so popular and addictive that it was nicknamed the Crackberry. It was, but I didn't need that information. The defense has Cassie reading out loud from the warm emails and messages she exchanged with Diddy early on, portraying them to jurors as a loving, caring couple in a counterpoint to 2 days of testimony about forced sex and violence. Diddy was charismatic with a larger than life personality, she testified. Quote, "I had fallen in love with him and cared about him very much," end of quote, she acknowledged. But another message Cassie read points to fractures in their relationship, which, according to her earlier testimony, devolved into violence and Combs' increasing obsessions with seeing her have sex with strangers doing drug-fueled sex parties he called freak-offs. In an April 2010 email, she expressed disappointment that Combs would rush her off the phone and wasn't spending time with her. Cassie read the email in court. Quote, "That's not being in a relationship with someone that you love and are in love with. I am really hurt by the way you deal with me. I don't need your money. I need your attention." End of quote. The sexual events Cassie staged dominated much of the testimony from Tuesday and Wednesday. But now Miss Estevallo is asking about the subject and displaying text messages to the jury in an apparent effort to show Cassie's enthusiasm for the freak offs. As Miss Estevallo is reading Diddy's part of the email and text exchanges and having Cassie recite what she wrote to him at the time. Diddy said, quote, "When do you want to freak off? Laugh out loud." In the quote, Cassie replies, "I'm always ready to freak off." 2 days later, Cassie sent an explicit message to Diddy. Diddy responded saying, quote, "I can't wait to watch you. I want you to get real hot." End the quote. To which Cassie responded, quote, "Me too. I just want it to be uncontrollable." End of quote. Cassie asks for a short break. The judge has agreed, allowing her to leave the witness stand after more explicit messages were put on display. The jury also was given a break at that time. Miss Estevallo continued with the gentle questioning of Cassie. Um, but they say that it reached a crescendo when Miss Estevallo was asking her about her early music career and successful first album. At one point, Miss Estevallo said, quote, "And you're very beautiful and charming," end of quote. Light laughter could be heard in the courtroom, prompting the lawyer to say, quote, "Well, it's true," end of quote. Cassie responded by thanking her. Miss Estevallo asked Cassie how many tattoos she had, triggering an objection from prosecutors that was overruled by the judge. Cassie then revealed that she had 3 tattoos when she met Combs, including one on the inside of her forearm that said, quote, "No regrets," end of quote. The communications between Cassie and Diddy are graphic, describing, for example, what she wanted to do during the freak-offs, and Miss Estevallo is made Cassie read them out loud, word for word, while the lawyer read Mr. Combs's part. The judge is allowing these emails, which don't discuss what happened, but rather what she was anticipating or wanting to have happen. After an extensive discussion on what evidence the defense could present, the judge disallowed messages reflecting attempts by Mr. Combs to learn whether Cassie was having sex with other men she was dating. So far, these other messages have been within the boundaries set by the judge. Yet more messages read in court showed that Cassie was growing frustrated with the state of her relationship with Combs. They weren't yet public with their courtship, and in a December 2009 email, Cassie told Diddy she needed something more from him than a sexual partnership. Responding to a sexually explicit email from Combs, Cassie wrote, quote, "I like that. I want it, and I want to give you the same. I just think that I have to trust you beyond it just being sexual," end of quote. The message continues saying, quote, "Do you know what I mean? In order for me to be more open with the things we do in bed, I need to feel safe, like home, like this is my husband, and this is the only man that will ever have this aggressive sexual side of me," end of quote. Diddy's lawyers were seeking to portray Cassie as a willing participant in his freak off lifestyle. Cassie laughed as lawyers showed her an email she sent to him near the start of their relationship almost 18 years ago. Quote, "It's making me giggle because it's from 2007," end of quote, Cassie said, momentarily breaking the tension of a cross-examination that so far has required her to read and hear explicit messages she has exchanged candidly with Combs. Nearly 2 hours into cross examination, the questioning of Cassie seems to have taken a turn from what had been mostly friendly questioning. Miss Estevallo asks Cassie if it's, quote, "fair to say," in the quote, that Combs' career was ruined after she sued him in November 2023, making public for the first time the concept of freak offs. Cassie responded, quote, "I could understand that," end of quote. Cassie testified earlier this week that when she tried to end their relationship, Combs threatened to end her career by releasing degrading sexual videos of her. After going through a pile of Cassie's years old emails and text messages, defense questioning pivoted to the highly orchestrated encounters in which Cassie says Combs watched and engaged in sexual acts with male sex workers. Early on, Cassie testified she, quote, "disguised herself with wigs and masquerade masks because while Combs was a recognizable star, she was an up-and-coming R&B singer, and neither of them wanted people finding out." Quote, "The encounter itself was pretty crazy. I really followed his lead on that because I had never done it before," end of quote. As Miss Estevallo and Cassie read aloud steamy text messages that Diddy and Cassie wrote each other in July 2012, Diddy appeared relaxed at the defense table, sitting back in his chair with his hands folded before him and his legs crossed. Cassie says she sometimes watched Diddy having sex with other women. While prosecutors have focused on Diddy's desire to see Cassie having sex with other men in marathons of sexual activity, she says she sometimes watched Diddy have sex with other women. Under questioning by Diddy's lawyer, Cassie testified that this happened maybe 4 times throughout the course of their decades-long relationship. She said Combs explained it as part of a quote swingers lifestyle, end of quote. At one point, acknowledging Cassie's potential discomfort, Miss Estevayo told Cassie, quote, if you ever don't want to read the message, I can read it for you, end of quote. She thanked the lawyer for the offer, but kept going. 3 times the courtroom fell quiet as Cassie spent several minutes silently reading through paper copies of long text message exchanges between her and Combs. One was 14 pages, another was 25 pages, a third was 8 pages. Cassie wanted to familiarize herself with these threads before being asked questions about them. Defense lawyers made it clear before the trial that they intended to label a lot of Combs' sexual behavior as reflective of a swinger's lifestyle. Now, Ms. Estevayo is asked Cassie directly if she thinks freak-offs were related to this lifestyle. Cassie responded, quote, in a sexual way, they're very different. End of quote. A day earlier, Cassie told prosecutors they went to swingers clubs together several times in Los Angeles and Las Vegas. As the lunch hour approached, Miss Estevayo questioned Cassie about addictions as it related to Combs. Quote, would you say he was an addict? End of quote, Miss Estevayo asked. Cassie responded, quote, I would say he was an addict, end of quote. Miss Estevayo then asked, what was he addicted to? End of quote. Cassie replied, success. When the lawyer asked if Combs was addicted to opiates, Cassie said, quote, at a point, yes, end of quote. Miss Estevayo asked her how she knows. Cassie answered, quote, because he told me, end of quote. They went to lunch. Now the defense attorneys, when they came back from lunch and before Cassie went back on the stand, they told the judge that they may have to return next week. Diddy's lawyer said they don't expect to be done questioning Cassie until the end of the day Friday. If that happens, it's possible she'll need to come back to court on Monday so prosecutors can ask her more questions during a phase of testimony known as redirect. Judge Subramanian noted that the sides had previously agreed that she would be done by week's end since she's pregnant and due to give birth soon to her third child. The defense's revised timing, quote, is the exact opposite of what I was told, end of quote, the judge said. Quote, that is why there is a sword that I must fall on, end of quote. And that's according to Diddy's lawyer, Mark Agnifilo. He suggested that prosecutors muddled the timing by calling 2 witnesses before bringing Cassie to the stand. The judge tries to limit Cassie's appearance to this week. Testimony has resumed after a lively discussion between the judge and lawyers out of the jury's presence about the need to get Cassie off the witness stand by the end of Friday. Judge Subramanian said there have been pretrial discussions for months about the need to finish Cassie's testimony this week, given her advanced pregnancy. Mr. Agnifilo, Diddy's attorney, tried to blame prosecutors, saying it seems strategic that they called 2 other witnesses before Cassie, and suggesting they did so in an effort to limit the cross-examination. The judge told the defense to finish its cross in the morning Friday to leave time for prosecutors to ask Cassie follow-up questions. He left open the possibility that Cassie might have to return to the witness stand next week. Combs is Cassie powered through the morning's cross-examination despite her advanced pregnancy, but she was back on the witness stand after lunch. In the courtroom, both Cassie and Diddy are being kept busy shuffling through through documents and peering at them on computer screens as Ms. Estevayo reads from dozens of exhibits. This likely presents some awkward moments that otherwise might arise through the nonstop airing of sexually charged conversations stretching from 2012 to 2017. Diddy stood at the defense table during a break, huddling with his lawyers while holding a pack of post-it notes in one hand and a pen in the other. At one point, he turned to the gallery and acknowledged a few reporters a few rows back who were studying his demeanor. "How you doing?" he asked. Combs was wearing a beige sweater over a white button-down shirt and gray pants today. Cassie, a black suit-type coat over a baby blue top. His daughters aren't in the courtroom on a day when explicit messages have been read and shown to the jury. At points during the text and email heavy testimony, jurors leaned forward in their seats to follow along as monitors displayed the often lurid messages in front of the jury box. One woman shook her head from side to side as a particularly explicit message was shown. A man stared intently at the screen, pressing his thumb onto his chin. Other jurors appeared curious and quizzical, some looking at Cassie or jotting notes. One man fell into a routine, peering at each message on the screen and then looking up at Miss Estevallo as she asked Cassie about them. Some jurors appeared bored only when the courtroom fell silent for minutes at a time while Cassie reviewed lengthy text exchanges before answering questions. Cassie, it's noted that Cassie has been exceedingly polite through her cross-examination, smiling at Combs's lawyer. But she has expressed occasional frustration, sometimes asking the attorney to rephrase or repeat her questions or to provide more context that could help her answer. At one point, Cassie complained that jurors weren't hearing the full context of the text messages the defense was highlighting. Quote, "This isn't about what I feel is relevant right now. This isn't about what I feel is relevant right now, right?" End of quote, Cassie said, glancing at the judge. "Because there's a lot we skipped over," she added. Once Ms. Estevallo is finished, prosecutors will have a chance to ask Cassie more questions and can give her an opportunity to provide any context she says is missing. Cassie responds to drug use questions. Cassie said Combs once communicated to drug dealers in Los Angeles to stop delivering drugs to her. Quote, "At some point it happened." End of quote, Cassie said, though she said she didn't know if it was 2016 when Combs' attorney suggested it happened. She also acknowledged that Combs had recommended that she get help for her drug issues. Cassie said Combs only wanted her to do drugs with him rather than with friends. Using the text message exchanges at the heart of her cross-examination, the defense lawyer highlighted instances of Cassie's anger with Combs and her admitted jealousy over attention he gave other women. Quote, "You're making me look like a side piece, and that is not what I thought I was." End of quote, Cassie um, told Diddy in a 2013 text message. Cassie said Diddy made clear from the early days of their relationship that he didn't want her seeing anyone else. He'd get angry if he suspected her of cheating, but the same rules didn't apply to him. She told jurors, and she confronted him after she saw social media posts connecting him with other women. Cassie testified that after a few years with Combs, she longed to be a bigger part of his life, but that he wouldn't let her in. She said she'd get angry that Combs was going on vacations with his children and his ex-partner, the late Kim Porter, and that he was spending holidays with them instead of her. In July 2013, text message exchange, in a July 2013 text message exchange, Combs' defense lawyer noted, quote, "It was Cassie who raised the idea of having a freak off," writing to Combs, quote, "Wish we could have FO'd before you left," end of quote. Cassie had said she felt compelled to participate in such encounters to keep Combs happy, and because she enjoyed spending one-on-one time with him afterward. In a 2017 text message, Cassie told Combs, quote, "I love our FOs when we both want it," end of quote, using the initials for freak off. On the stand, Cassie said, quote, "I was saying I would say loving FOs were just words at that point. End of quote. Attorney Anna Estevallo confronted Cassie with dozens of text messages that she exchanged with Combs before they agreed to engage in a freak-off at the Los Angeles hotel in March 2016, where Combs was caught on recordings kicking and dragging her by an elevator bank. Ms. Estevallo noted that several of them, Cassie spoke using sexually explicit language, though the actual texts were not read to the jury. The lawyers was suggesting through the texts that Cassie encouraged the sexual meeting with an escort. Cassie has testified that she could tell by the words Combs used in his texts that he wanted a freak off, such as when he asked her about her plans so he could make his plans that night. She said she wanted to get it over with to keep Combs happy so he wouldn't spoil a movie premiere she was attending 3 days later. Miss Estevallo closed her questioning for the day by suggesting to Cassie that she and Mr. Combs had taken a bad batch of the psychedelic stimulant MDMA during a freak-off that preceded his 2016 assault on her at the Los Angeles hotel. Quote, they were a bad batch, right? End of quote, Miss Estevallo asked. Cassie replied, quote, I have no idea, end of quote, concluding her testimony for the day. Diddy was seen in a now and that did they talk about the video that we all saw. Testimony ended for the day. Cassie returns tomorrow morning at 9:30. The defense would have up to 5 hours to question Cassie tomorrow. Prosecutors said they expected to have no more than a half hour of questioning for Cassie once the defense is finished. Combs' attorney, Mark Agnifilo, said he'll let the court know in the morning whether the defense can finish so that Cassie doesn't have to testify on Monday. That's your updates for the day. That was a lot. All right. In more Diddy news. So, y'all's boy, the stunt double for Donkey Kong, Jane Goodall's wet dream, 50, entered the group chat a few days ago and refuses to leave. Well, apparently, there was another lawsuit filed, and let me take the banner down. 50 screenshot it and posted it on his social media. I'll read it for you. This is a portion of the lawsuit. Quote, defendant Combs released plaintiff Jane Doe's neck and then held her arm down while using his other hand to swiftly unbuckle his belt and pants, before pulling out his erect bare-skin penis, which appeared to be the length and girth of a large Tootsie Roll. Plaintiff Jane Doe recalls feeling relieved when she saw defendant Combs' penis because she knew it wouldn't hurt as much when he raped her due to the lack of length and girth. She thought that his penis was, quote, an itty bitty ditty. End of quote. I just read the messages, y'all. I don't know what y'all. What do y'all want from me, okay? What do y'all want from me? I'm just reading what the man posted on his social media. Hey, Paul. Yeah, you are late. You and Trey got caught up. No, I didn't see a case number, Tracy. I was trying to look. He only, screenshot that portion, Casey, because if, let me see. I don't think, hold on. Let me go to the article. See if they have anything in the article. Because the article, I remember they said it was a Jane Doe. Now, you should know that on the Instagram post, petty ass 50 had Tootsie Roll playing in the background. To the left, to the left, to the right, to the right, to the front, to the front, to the back, to the back. Now slide, slide. Listen. Yeah, they don't even have the purchase. That it's a Jane Doe. All I know is that's just petty as hell. I'm just saying. I mean, 50 also said that's why he in the corner masturbating because his meat's so small. Right. I know, Tracy. I tried to see if I could find, but baby, the woman said, and quote, an itty bitty ditty. I don't know what y'all want from me. We know this is portion number 78 and 79. Girl. I don't know what y'all want from me. I just read the stories. You say check my email. Hold on. See. I don't know if this is because it says number 78 and 79. Now this could have been totally made up. Yeah, this one don't have a 78 and 79. This one goes up to 55, Tracy. So I don't think that's it, but that might be another one. Is this what? We're not gonna have time to look for it today, Tracy. We ain't gonna have time today, Tracy. But if you find it, just let me know. If you can't, it's okay. But if you find it, let me know. Listen, I don't have nothing to do with this, y'all. I'm not the one over here talking about people's Tootsie Rolls and all of this stuff. What the hell do y'all want from me? I just read the stories. That's all that I do. Don't come at me now. I hate the fact that I have horrible mental pictures flooding my brain now of Diddy's meat where he whipped it out. And that woman said, because I'm picturing a Tootsie Roll in my head, literally a Tootsie Roll with a, like, oh God, that's so unfortunate. You sent me another one or the one? Hit the highlights of the one you sent me. Hold on. Um Tracy, you got to tell me which part. Hold on. You know this thing be having a lot. Oh, the factual allegations. Okay. I can read the first factual allegations because it's not that long. Okay. This comes Circa Tracy, okay? Tracy, I can read the factual allegations. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on for a moment, y'all. Hold on. Hold your line. Hold on. Let me do this the right way. All right. Okay. Now, that's not what I want. What I want is to share this screen. All right. All right. So I'm just gonna go down to the factual allegation. I hope that's all I need to go to, Tracy. I forgot what page that was. Okay. Factual allegations. Can y'all see that? Here we are. Plaintiff was and currently is a member of the vaunted entertainment industry, working not in the limelight, but as a behind the scenes but equally important member of the production and photography team. Plaintiff's resume includes integral roles in approximately 100 television commercials. Plaintiff, a photographer, was working on one such commercial filmed in 2022 or 2023 when he was approached by defendant Combs. Plaintiff, in his behind the scenes role, is accustomed accustomed to eccentric and or unorthodox requests from high-profile individuals. These requests range from the innocuous, such as requesting very particular foods and beverages, to the bizarre and occasionally sordid. Plaintiff was used to being around such individuals. What he was not prepared for was to be offered blatant sexual quid pro quo from a renowned mogul of the entertainment industry. One of the plaintiff's many responsibilities in his role as a photographer production assistant was on occasion to round up the talent on commercial shoots from the trailers following a break in production. During the production of a high profile commercial, Defendant Combs was on set. Plaintiff does not recall the purpose of Defendant Combs' presence on set. Moreover, in his experience, it is common for high profile individuals to not appear directly listed, not appear directly listed on call sheets. They would appear oftentimes under aliases, initials, or simply as talent to avoid unwanted publicity and or unforeseen complications on set. Regardless of the purpose of Combs' presence on set, Combs made his presence known. Plaintiff, aware of Combs' status as an entertainment tycoon, struck up a conversation with him. This conversation started off innocently enough, but quickly escalated into a disturbing situation. Combs asked plaintiff to join him in a trailer, which was generally forbidden, as members of the production staff were strongly discouraged from fraternizing with the talent. Combs downplayed these restrictions, and plaintiff agreed to join. Combs framed this meeting as an opportunity for plaintiff to advance his career. Plaintiff, although hesitant, could not turn down what appeared to be a career-defining moment few ever received. Once inside the trailer, Combs' true intentions quickly became clear. What had looked like a once-in-a-lifetime career opportunity was a thinly veiled quid pro quo. Combs immediately began making sexual overtures toward plaintiff. He unzipped his pants and told plaintiff words to the effect of, quote, "If you suck it right, I'll make your career take off," end of quote. The implication was clear also that if plaintiff did not perform oral sex on Combs to his satisfaction, his career would be over. Plaintiff, a straight male, performed oral sex on Combs under this coercive threat. If that was not traumatic enough, Combs, when he climaxed, told plaintiff to, quote, "hold Combs's semen in plaintiff's mouth like a squirrel," end of quote. I guess I should have put a trigger warning. I'm sorry. Trigger warning. Somebody put it in the chat. Trigger warning. When plaintiff failed to meet Combs' absurd request, Combs threatened him with physical violence. Shortly after the assault was over, Combs ordered plaintiff out of the trailer. Plaintiff had to finish the workday grappling not only with the trauma of the situation, but with the knowledge that he had Combs' semen on and inside of his body. Combs never heard Plaintiff never heard from Combs after that day. He has lived with the situation of what occurred despite his efforts to forget the assault. Plaintiff has suffered in the past and present immeasurable emotional and mental pain and trauma, which in all likelihood will continue into the future. There you have it. Listen, Diddy and his Tootsie Roll or whatever he got going on, y'all, I ain't got nothing to do with it, okay? I have nothing to do with Diddy and his Tootsie Roll. Tootsie Roll to the left, to the left, to the right, to the right, to the front, to the front, to the back, to the back. Listen, I ain't got nothing to do with it. Maybe that's why he has maybe that's why he's a size queen. You know, they say Diddy like I'm big. You got to be big for Diddy. Maybe that's why he's a size queen. I don't know. We got to move on. So the Indianapolis Colts, they thought they were going to be funny, right? So hold on, let me pull up the story. Hold on for a moment. Hold on for a moment. Hell is my damn story. All right. So the Indianapolis Colts thought that they was gonna be funny. Okay. They posted a video. The NFL regular season schedule came out yesterday, right? And you know it's always a big day, you know, for NFL fans. Um, and many teams like to, you know, post funny videos and different things that give clues and hints as to who's on their schedule. Well, the Indianapolis Colts decided to get involved in this, you know, practice. They created their schedule release video in, you know, a Minecraft fashion, right? However, it didn't go as planned. Um, Here's the video. Now that's not the whole video, but I'm gonna play it again. So to highlight their week one opponent, which is the Miami Dolphins, they thought it would be cute to have a dolphin swimming in the Coast Guard, you know, appearing to arrest him, you know, poking fun at the fact that Tyreek Hill was accosted by Miami-Dade County police department just outside of the stadium last year. We recall what happened. We reported on that here. Now, Tyreek Hill may be a deplorable and detestable individual, but what happened to him at the hands of the police was uncalled for. And now the Indianapolis Colts had to issue an apology and took it down and deleted it off their social media. But the damage was done because once it was up there, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. These are y'all people. Christopher Maurice is in jail again. According to TMZ, Christopher Maurice was taken into custody at a hotel in Manchester, England, earlier this morning on suspicion of grievous bodily harm. And that's according to law enforcement sources. Now, the Sun is reporting that he was arrested hours after he flew into England on a private jet at the Manchester airport. Um, the arrest stems from a violent incident that reportedly took place at Tape nightclub in the Mayfair section of London on February 19th, 2023. Well, that was 2 years ago. Christopher Maurice allegedly clashed with a music producer named Abe Dial and is accused of attacking him with a bottle. At the time, Mr. Dial told news outlets that Christopher Maurice smashed him over the head with a bottle and then punched and kicked him. Ryan J. Danishrat, Mr. Dial's attorney, in his 2023 lawsuit against Christopher Maurice, said, quote, "We can confirm that Chris Brown was involved in an incident with our client and the injuries sustained are serious. We are pursuing all legal remedies to hold him accountable. At this time, we will let the facts speak for themselves through the proper legal channels." End of quote. I don't care. Don't. Moving on. In our last story of the day, praise you, sweet 7 pound, 3 ounce baby Jesus. Oh God, this woman makes my ass itch. Like, she really gets on my nerves. This woman really gets on my damn nerves. In case you wanted to know, in a recent interview on Late Night with Seth Meyers, Tiffany Haddish confirmed she's dating and not tied down to anyone. Quote, I'm dating, I'm doing it, end of quote. She went on to share, quote, they say I'm outside, but I'm not outside like that. I'm outside, but inside. I'm dating, end of quote. When she was asked if she's dating anyone exclusively, she said, quote, I'm dating. No, she said, quote, no, I'm dating. I got a team, end of quote. I don't care. Ma'am, I don't care. Ma'am, I don't care about you. I don't care about who you're dating. I don't care about anything you have going on. If I never hear from you or about you again in life, it will be too soon. Go away forever. That's the dossier for today, y'all. That's the dossier. We made it through, y'all. We made it through. Listen, y'all. I would tell y'all I'll be back tomorrow, but I got to travel tomorrow. Sorry. Why is that back up there? I got to travel tomorrow, y'all. So I got a funeral to go to this weekend. So I'll be traveling tomorrow for said funeral this weekend. I will try to have a silly Saturday on a Sunday again. So I'll try to do silly Saturday on Sunday. If I get back early enough, I'll try to do it on Sunday for y'all so that I can make sure that I give y'all something. Okay. But I'll be back. Nevertheless, if I don't, yeah, I think I should be able to do it on Sunday. So look for silly Saturday on Sunday. I'll have it, Tracy. It'll be on Sunday because I should be back by Sunday. All right. No Manic Monday. I'm gonna do it on Sunday. I'm gonna do it on Sunday. All right, y'all. Listen, as I always say, I love y'all. I love all y'all. Thank you all for being vocal, present, and active. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for don't get bored of Jesus. Thank you for any and all contributions that you make to the channel. They are much obliged and they're much appreciated. Speaking of which, if you'd like to make a contribution to the platform, you can do that here by by clicking on that QR code and blessing the Cash App. We've had another week of great shows here today. This week, another week. It will culminate on Sunday with um a silly Saturday on a Sunday. So I'll be back Sunday. I will do that then. All right. That's all I got for y'all. I looked to see if Really B had a live plan, and I did not see a live planned for her to see if I could redirect y'all there. I did not see one. All right. Let me try again. Yeah, I don't see a live schedule for her. So I can't do a redirect. Anyway, that's all I got for y'all. Until next time, thank y'all for coming. Y'all drive safely. I'm out. I love y'all. I'll see y'all later.